Hi, my name is Scott White. I'm a retired Fortune 500 managing director for an IT consulting company, and I'm an expert at business process reengineering and IT systems. And after diving into school funding, I'm ready to propose a solution to the Texas public school funding formula. So my recommendation is focused on the Tier 1 M&O allotment. So this is the maintenance and operations. It's controlled by the state. And this is typically where 60 to 70% of the annual funding comes from most ISDs. The other maintenance and operations Tier 2, interest and sinking, is controlled by the local school boards, and then the federal team pitches in as well. My recommendation is to use the universal pricing design. So this is describing a service, a price, unit of measure, quantity, and a subtotal for every line item. We then have a percentage adjustment for taxes or rebates at the bottom, and then we total. This is used on every invoice, every business system that exists that I know of. And ultimately, later on, there's a payment process. Pulling some screenshots from the Foundation School Program website, I'm going to show you what it looks like today. And I'm sure you'll agree it's very confusing. The first part is pretty much good, though. That is the list of services down the side. You see the regular program, you see the special education, dyslexia, and others. Now, what you don't see in the columns is a price. It's actually hidden up here in the header. And then you see a average daily attendance, which is a quantity, although you can't tell it from the column heading. And then followed by that, there's a local or legislative planning estimate and a district planning estimate. These actually are the plan and actuals for the district. Now, you can't see any data to do the math, so I stuck a little red box on here. So you take the price times the weight times the average daily attendance, and that gives you the total for the line item. And you can see more of this as you go through the different pages. So you see different services on the second page, and then you see additional services on the third page, and then you would think that there would be a total at the bottom. However, the doesn't provide it, so I added my own, which you can see below. Now, here are my recommended changes. First, the service description. These are actually pretty good. We should keep the service description, continue to use this idea. We need to change the word allotment to price, so we all understand exactly what it is. And then we need to change our unit to be enrolled students, so we understand it, and not average daily attendance days, which is a formula of average days over total days for a school year. So I'm going to kind of work it out here a bit. So if you relaid out the sheet, you would see the price and the quantity, unit of measure, and the totals. And I just worked out a few of these just to kind of give an example. It should add up to 250 million at the bottom. Now, if I switched it to an enrollment, it would raise the quantity and lower the price because that's how it works. But really, it's the same number. So you see the lower price, the higher quantity, and the same totals. So in essence, I think the pricing sheet ought to be laid out this way. Every single service has a price, has a quantity, has a total, and you can see all of it put together at the bottom. And I also believe that prices should be adjusted each year for inflation, just like every other business. What if we automatically adjusted our property tax rate each year? Here's how the math would work. So we take each ISD calculating their school services, just like the example from Keller I did before. We add up all of these across all the ISDs across the state. We decide what percentage of our schools should be paid for by property tax, typically around 45%. And this becomes an amount of tax to be collected via the property tax process. If we take this amount and divide it by the summary of all of our appraised property values, that'll give us this year's property tax rate. So what this does is the property tax rates, because they automatically change so that the collected tax amount exactly matches the school funding requirement. So we set this rate statewide, similar to the state sales tax. No district pays more or less, like it happens today. The state collects the tax yearly and then transfers the tax to the schools on a monthly basis. So let's work through a few examples. So our objective here is to collect a tax amount matching the current year's demand for public school services. So if the number of enrolled students decreases and the appraised value stays the same, our tax rate automatically decreases. If the number of enrolled students stays constant and our property values increase, then the tax rate automatically decreases as well. And last, if the number of enrolled students choose a private school and the property tax values stay the same, then our tax rate automatically decreases. Therefore, the amount of taxes collected exactly matches the students who are attending public schools. So there's many benefits to this system, right? The first one is we always collect a property tax that exactly matches the demand for our public schools. Every school would receive a fair amount of funding aligned to the unique needs of their student population. It end the recapture process or the Robin Hood process. Adjustments for inflation are automatic and built into the solution. Dramatically reduces the administrative overhead associated with the current system because we're using standard business processes and terminology. And it really raises our taxpayer confidence that it's fair and under control. Because no matter what happens to your property values, what you do know is you're paying the exact amount, no more, no less, that we need to fund our public schools for the enrollment for those schools. So thank you very much. Please consider my proposal in the next year's legislative session. Thank you.